Hi, Eve.
Hi, good evening.
It's lovely to see you and get to talk to you again since our group video. When we spoke before, you talked about one of the items in your toolkit, and that was the gift of the first 3 hours. So what's your first 3 hours? Why is it a gift, and what does it include?
Well, I see it as a gift because it's something really positive that I give to myself each morning. So I start off with a really good mindset, and it's good for the body and the soul. So my first 3 hours, I start with a meditation, and then I journal, and then I do some physical movements like yoga or a workout.
Okay. So first 3 hours sounds like a very long time for many people. So how do you manage to keep the first 3 hours that you've mentioned?
So I decided to start this thing. It's a chap, I can't remember his name, but it's called the 5 a.m. Club.
Okay.
I started on the 5 a.m. and some mornings it's 5 a.m. Some mornings it's 6 or 6:30. That's how I keep it, because I treat it as a gift. And so it's a really wonderful time when you get up that early in the morning. And I personally don't see it as a hard thing to do. I actually like it. There's like a very nice connection with the universe when you get up at that hour of the morning, and lovely in nature in the summertime as you do your meditation out in the garden. So that's how I do it. Those first 3 hours are sacrosanct, and I start the day earlier to make sure I get it done.
Okay. So what happens if you can't keep to the first 3 hours, and what would you have to drop, and what impact would that have?
So here's the thing. The first 3 hours are non-negotiable. They are my gift to myself. So it's my time. So there's no such thing as not keeping it. It's like, not sleeping. I have it as a part of my life now. It's become my identity, and I give myself that time every single day. It's just a self-discipline that I've gotten into, and it really keeps my mental health very, very straight.
Okay. You mentioned back at the beginning meditation, and there's many different types of meditation, and I use several myself. But what do you look for, and what makes it especially meaningful for you?
So I've done loads and loads of different types of meditations in the past. So when I started out, I suppose I did Reiki, and there was meditations that we did with Reiki, and then I did integrated energy therapies, and we did more meditations, and then I started to play around. The Tony Robbins one, there's a priming exercise. Then I found there's the Silva method. There's Emily Fletcher, but there's tons out there. So what I found is I started small, and I just didn't berate myself if my mind wandered.
Yeah.
And I think everyone finds their own rhythm. But if you start really small, so even if you started for 5 minutes of a meditation, and you can calm your mind and your body for 5 minutes, you'll notice the difference. And breathing, that was the really big one for the breathing technique with the meditation.
Yeah, absolutely. So how long have you been meditating for, and how do you ensure the meditation gives you what you need?
So I have been meditating since since my late 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, so a long time. And
not that long.
Not that long. How many years is that now? Oh, it's quite a long time. So I would go in and go out. So I might go great guns for a while, and then I'd fall off the wagon, so to speak, and then I'd find something was missing, and I'd go back to it. But how I know that I've got something from it is my sense during the day. So I meditate 3 times a day. Now I know that sounds mad, but the way I do it is that I do a Vision Lackey Anyone now in the morning. So I used to do Tony Robbins every morning, the priming, but I do a Vision Lackey Any, like a segment intending for the day. And I also do the De Silva one. So they're 20 minutes. That's my first 40 minutes. So it's 2 different types of meditation.
Sure.
And I do a check-in meditation at lunchtime. So literally that could be 5 minutes where I just excuse myself if I'm out somewhere, and I just go into the bathroom and just sit, stand, whatever, and do a check-in and do a very short meditation with myself in my head. And then my nighttime one is really luxurious. That's the best way to put it, because oh, it's a lovely way to finish off a day, to meditate before you go to sleep. It's gorgeous.
Is there one that you particularly use?
So I use the silver one to go to sleep at night time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, lovely.
I
Okay.
love it. And sometimes I have those beats in the background, like the theta beats.
Yes.
Sometimes I have a waterfall. I actually like water a lot.
Right.
And if I'm doing meditations where I do a guided one, I always go somewhere where there's water.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be my go-to. But I know that throughout the day when I've done my meditations, it helps me to stay grounded, to stay very focused with where I am in the world, connected to the universe.
It's interesting you talking about the beats and the different levels, because there's lots of meditations and they talk about levels and states and even brain waves. What's been your experience with those, and are there any recommended practices that you would share with others?
So what I say to people is go on to YouTube, and they absolutely have a plethora of different types. And I know that people would recommend something to me, and then I'd say, oh, I don't like that person's voice, or oh, that's kind of loud, or so what I say to people is go on and play around with different types that you find, and what might suit you for 2 months, you might suddenly really go off, and then you find something else, go, oh, I really like that, that's resonating with me at the moment. And just as your journey, you find different types of meditation with you better at different times. And some people cannot stand those beats, or they just, it drives them insane. And other people, it just sends them right into the zone, and they feel like, oh, I'm there. As soon as I hear those beats, I've gone to that place where I'm in my zen. But for people, I just say start small, don't get sidetracked. It's easy, we all have busy minds, and things get in the way. But if you just give yourself a small bit of time, stick to that and say, right, this is my time, and I'm going to allow this time every single day and gift it to myself.
Yeah, I agree. And I find that different stages of whether it's stages of the week, or suddenly the weeks go by and you think, I'm just not feeling it with this one anymore. And I go and find, and quite often I find that something comes to me at the time that about the time that I need to change. And you suddenly think, well, I wonder why that one's come to me, and you listen to it, and then it's there because you need it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah. And you might go back to one that you were doing for maybe 2 months and you loved, and then you come away from it for 2, 3, 4 months, and you find it again, or it comes and you go, oh yeah, that's a lovely one. And you go back to it again for a while.
It's interesting because I'd done Vishen Lakhiani every day for months and months and months. And then I switched out and did some others. And then I realized that I was missing it. So I went back to it just for a few days, and then I went off and did something else. And it's just nice to have that flexibility.
That's what I did with the Tony Robbins one. And Dr. Joe Dispenza does absolutely lovely ones. And yet I've heard people say, oh, when he talks about the space between the space, and then they get annoyed, and they get so focused on the space between the space, they can't actually just surrender and let themselves go. And
actually the space is just about stepping outside of yourself and looking down at yourself. And being more aware, because that's really what it's about, isn't it? But I did his this morning, funnily enough, and during the meditation and stepping out, I found that I was looking at my life like down a spindle. And because I'd stepped out of myself to look at myself, and it was like looking at my life down through a spindle. And pulling something out and then putting it back. It was really quite strange. And it's just lovely how it impacts on you in different ways at different times.
Yeah. But people have to be ready to surrender to see what comes of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So you also said you do journaling, and that's actually something I do and put into practice myself. But what sorts of things do you capture in your journal?
So I love journaling, and I've always loved writing, and I write about everything. I mean, everything. So I write about what's happening in the world, new presidents, how I feel about that, how I feel about the impact on the universe. You know, if I hear something in the news that maybe upsets me, like if they let off torpedoes deep in the ocean and then what that does to whales. So loads of different things.
Yeah.
And a lot of it would be about what's the planet. And, you know, if in 50 years someone were to read it, there's a real snapshot in time. And then when I look back over things that I've written years ago and I go, whew, wow, you know, that was 30 years ago. And
yeah,
some things haven't actually really changed that much, you know, things stay the same.
Yeah.
But it's lovely to go back on your writing. And the other nice thing about it is it's another form of keeping me very connected to the universe. You don't get beyond yourself of that, or your ego doesn't run away with you.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I know I'm a grain of sand, but I know at the same time as being a grain of sand, you matter, and every single grain of sand that's here matters.
Yes, yes, it does. Exactly. So how's it helped you with your well-being?
So it's a great focus for emotions. You can look back at stuff that's happened. So let's say you had a situation where something happened and you were really hurt, and at the time you're writing down about all that pain and angst and why did this person do this and why do I feel like this? And it's a great way to get all those emotions down on paper in a way that when you speak doesn't come out. Or sometimes that if you feel you're saying all this to somebody and they're looking at you like, oh my God, she's mad, she's having a rant about this, you know, it's so trivial. And to you, it really means something big. And then, you know, a month, 6 months, a year, you look back and you go, oh my God, literally. And you've moved, the emotion has moved away.
Yes.
And journaling gives you a great opportunity to be able to be your own counselor.
Yes, it's a release, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And it gives you the opportunity, as you're writing it, you're almost evaluating what you're writing.
Yeah.
And then you think to yourself, really? Did I really just think?
Yeah. So you release all of those emotions, and it's a space and time. And you see yourself progressing then as a person. You see yourself evolving as a person. And funny enough, when you journal an awful lot, you see synchronicities and things, and you see repeats of patterns where you're able to stop. If you look back on your writing and go, oh, we've been here before. Now, hold on a minute. It's not going to take us 6 months to get over this and feel that pain. We're going to now and
exactly.
And that's been phenomenal.
Yeah, and be able to make the lasting change in yourself because you're seeing patterns of behavior.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So is there a really simple way that you would recommend that our listeners could use so they could get started with journaling?
For journaling, I'd say get a pen, get a notebook, make sure that you're confident that nobody else is going to be reading this, that you have the privacy to put down your thoughts. Start small, and then just write. Just write about something that really means something, that has emotion. That's an important one. So if there's something that's happening in your job, in your relationship with your kids, whatever it is, and it has a big emotion attached to it, right? Because it's funny, you'll actually be amazed what starts to come out and come out and come out. And when I like helped people, or people have come to me and I've said to them, get a diary or get a small notebook, and maybe at the end of this, you know, period, you might burn it in the fire. We do something with it. But they're amazed when they look back from the beginning, or they ring you and they say, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I thought, you know, this is a bit bats. I'm never going to be able to write anything. I don't know what she was talking about. And then I couldn't stop. And I was,
you know,
and it's because if something means something to you, it's going to come out of you. You're going to have a lot to say.
Yes. So you mentioned writing. What sorts of things do you write about?
Everything. So I mean everything. I write about relationships. I write about my passions. I write about funny things that happen, and kind of quirky, small, funny things that happen, you know, like you bump into someone in a shop and you don't know them, and then an hour and a half later you were standing like looking at the same milk, and this person has told you all about their marriage breakdown, and I'm thinking, how did I get here? And okay, that's not funny, but it's the quirky, funny things that happen, and that
yes.
At the end of it, someone has just divulged all this stuff to you, and then you're going, yeah, actually that milk is better than that milk. But if you buy, and you're thinking, oh, we've just intimate conversation.
But actually, you've just given a random act of kindness because you've listened to the person.
You've held space for an hour and a half, and all you did was go to the shop to buy milk. So, and I write about those things.
Yeah.
So, and I have to say, the writing does bring me joy, because when I go back and I read over stuff, you get a good laugh. You know, there's a playful side to it, and it keeps you playful.
Yes, and it keeps your mind creative, actually.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You're probably damn right in that one. I didn't even think of it at that. I just think of it as I'm not as serious. When I came away from writing, I had a period in my life where I was really, really sad and down. And I found, you know, I wasn't meditating, I wasn't journaling, I wasn't really exercising. Things were just, everything just seemed so much worse.
Yes, yes, because that structure's disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So do you write every day?
I do. So
what happens to your writing afterwards? Do you keep it all?
Oh, I keep it all. So I'm sure my attic is going to fall down on top of me one day. No joke. Or when I die, the kids will be like,
oh my God. Or they'll sit there reading it all saying, oh my goodness, I didn't know my mum was.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I keep it.
So I'm assuming your day comes, something you sort of said on our group video, that your day to come means the day ahead.
Yes.
So looking at your day ahead. So how do you plan your day ahead, and do you prepare for your day?
I do. So part of that whole Vishen Lakiani meditation, you can do segment intent, and that basically means you put out to the universe what you would like to happen. I have a kind of a two-pronged approach. So the night before, especially for work, if I know what I have coming up ahead, I plan out, okay, well, these are tasks, this is kind of stuff that I need to get done. And then I segment intend that, wouldn't it be great this morning if, you know, everything goes really brilliantly in this meeting and we all walk away with the answers we need, and wouldn't it be brilliant this afternoon if I get to go out for a big 1 hour walk with the dogs, and wouldn't it be brilliant this evening if I get to spend 3 hours with my dad. So whatever way I want to segment in my day, and then that's what I run with. And if it doesn't go to plan, you're in a much better mental positive state, because you've already sort of set your sights with the universe for how you'd like your day to go.
Yes. I actually do exactly the same. And the night before, I plan out what I want for the next day. And then the next morning, as part of my meditation, I envision that day. And I find if I don't do that, my day goes to pot.
Yeah, that's
because I've not planned it.
Yeah. So my envisioning is a big part. It's a huge part. I think that it's having the meditation, the journaling, and the exercise, and then that I kind of do the green smoothie and all the vitamins. I get a whole load of positive things really early in the morning.
Yes.
My mindset, which really is the most important thing, is in the right place, and because in some form of, you know, movement, yoga, or a 15-minute workout, your body is in a good space as well.
Which actually means you're ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And the amount of people that say to me, oh my God, you're like a live wire, or oh my God, why are you always in such good form? How do you always manage to be so upbeat? Well, I work at it. That's and the short of it. I make a conscious effort to.
But it is like having a magic recipe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a magic recipe of a small piece of structure that actually kickstarts the whole day.
Okay. Yeah.
So it doesn't obviously always go according to plan, and I said mine doesn't. So how do you manage the unplanned changes to your day?
I take them as I find them. So I think that just the very nature of how you react to stuff. So I'll give you an example. If I was, let's say, a busy mum and I had 3 kids under the age of 3 and I was still trying to rush out to a job, obviously, you know, you can and you can envision and you can do all those things. And then one of them throws up and the other one has a tantrum, and you're thinking, oh my God almighty. But it's how you react to the situations, and you just have to take a deep breath and go, okay, so, you know, it's gone to pot, and what can I do now to rescue this bit, move on to that bit, and go with the flow and surrender. I think an awful lot of us fight against stuff. You know, we fight.
I agree.
And that's what life is like. Life throws curveballs at you, and if you can mentally pivot in today's busy world, that's half the battle. That's the game.
I like to think that the curveballs is because the universe is giving you something that you need right now. And the curveball can feel like it's huge and dramatic, but actually it's come to you for a reason. It's come to teach you something.
Yeah.
And it's something that you need right at that moment, and you won't realize it until you've gone past it, and then you look back and think, that's why that happened.
Yeah. And it's only sometimes in life that you get the aha moment and you go, oh, if that actually hadn't happened right at that time, I never would have met that person, or I wouldn't have gone for that job, or, you know, whatever it was, wouldn't.
Exactly. Always makes me think of the film The Wonderful Life is a Wonderful Life, because that's what always makes me think of that. Last time we spoke, or earlier on in this course, where you talked about envisioning. So what does that look like for you?
So envisioning for me is, I have, let's say, one overarching goal that I want to achieve, or my North Star that I'm going for. And I break that down into smaller bits. So my envisioning for me is, how do I do the small things on a daily basis to get to the one big thing that I want? So I envision how I'm going to do that. And then on a daily basis, I do the things to get there. So if I wanted to lose weight, for example, and I envision, so whatever that would be for me, it mightn't be about a certain amount of weight. It might just be to look good in clothes, or it might just to feel really healthy. You would envision then exactly what that was for you. And then you would go further and say, well, right, what bad habits do I need to eliminate? So, you know, eating my crisps and my chocolate and my ice cream every single night on the couch at 9:30, 10 o'clock after a busy day at work isn't going to get me there. And the point in me doing an hour-long workout in the morning, and I starve myself all day and then come home and do that. So it's the bad habits as well as the really positive, good habits that you'd put in place. And that's the envisioning. And then you have to follow through. So there's little or no point in envisioning all of this, and you have this great, you know, I have all these steps, and then you don't do it.
No, exactly.
The big thing I find is that if you want to get that vision, it's the small steps that you take to change your identity to get there, to become that person. And I always say to people, if I've helped them in any way, or we've tried to reach a goal or do something, that a lot of people are like actors. They take on the character and the role for 3 months, and then they lose 2 stone or whatever it is, or 3 stone, and then they revert back to their old character. So instead of becoming that person forever, this is my new identity, this is how I am. No, I don't, you know, eat shit at 9:30 at nighttime, because it's not really going to do me any favors. And I choose to eat healthily, and I choose to exercise, and I choose to, you know, follow good patterns. That's how you change your identity.
It's about stepping into the character that you want to become.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about bringing that person forward, isn't it? Saying, that's the person I'm going to be, and actually stepping into the role of that person.
Yeah, and living it forever, not just for time.
Exactly. It's not for 5 minutes or a week or a month, or it's your life.
It's your life. It's actually your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
That lovely big goal that we talk about. When you journal, you can actually see with your journaling as well how close you're getting, and some can see it speeding up, that the universe just seems to row in behind you and go, oh, that's where we're going, let's go.
Okay, let's go now. Yeah. And then it happens faster and faster. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I do think there's levels of intuition and levels of surrender to the universe, and levels of, if you believe you live in a benevolent society or environment or universe, that's what you get. That's what you put out there, and for the most part, that's what you get.
Yeah, I mean, Joseph Spencer talks about it. It's about what the energy that you put out is exactly what you're going to get back.
Yeah.
And Tony Robbins talks about the same thing. They all talk about the same thing. It's about what you put out to the universe. Your message that's going out is what you'll get back. So if you're putting out negative messages, you're going to get negative messages back.
Yeah. Yeah,
it really
I truly believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, like, because the universe doesn't know whether it's negative or positive, it just knows that this is what you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I am a fat person. Okay, well then you are a fat person. I am useless at doing that.
Okay, so you're useless.
So that's your useless.
Then I'll go and find more useless things for you to do. Exactly. So what approach do you use, and have you managed to bring into reality the things that you've envisioned?
So I have transformed my life with envisioning, but I've also followed through. So as I was saying, there's no point having these great, I envision this and I envision that, and people who sit and they meditate for it. The keys of the kingdom would be consistency, persistence, and self-discipline. So from relationships, friendships, how I work, my health, my fitness, my character, my emotions, how I show up to myself in the world. So I just don't tolerate. So the approach that I use is I envision exactly what I want, and then I step into that character as if or that identity of that's who I am. That's it.
Yes.
So I don't tolerate toxicity in relationships. That just doesn't happen. I don't allow the pressures of outside society to dictate to me how much time I spend on social media, what clothes I wear, what car I drive, none of those things. I'm just not pressured by any of that.
Yes.
I live free according to my own moral compass. And my life is actually quite simple, but I'm really deeply connected at a soul level to the people that I value in my life and the relationships. And I think when most people are on their deathbeds, that's really what it's about. I'm in my universe.
Yes. Yeah. Make a decision.
Yeah.
And then act on it.
And then act on it. And I mean this with the greatest respect. I don't allow myself to have excuses or a victim mentality. And I realize that everyone has off days and days, you know, you have to just reset the clock and go, okay, we're going to start over. And that's life. That is what life is about. You know, I don't feel like exercising. I don't feel like writing. I've been up vomiting all night and I have the worst tummy bug. Well, grand, you know, 6 days, so be it. Just you reset the clock and off you.
Exactly. Just make the decision that says, okay, that's over. Now I'm going to move on again.
Yeah. And this is who I am. And even with grief, there was this wonderful guy. I wish I could remember his name. And he had this statement about grief. So my mum died a couple of years ago, and he said, you know, grief is a companion. Mightn't be a companion that I want on my journey, but he's here. So I'm going to accept him as here, walk along with him. And at some point, you know, he'll have his own road, and I'll go back to my loving, happy, wonderful self. And I think when I accepted that, my mum, that was a huge, big learning.
Yes.
Well.
Yes. Yes. They're with you for a period of time, but they're not with you forever.
Yeah.
The grief isn't with you forever.
Grief isn't with you forever. But just coming back to that whole point about the approach you use, the approach is that I'm gentle on my soul, but at the same time, I'm consistent, I'm persistent, and
absolutely. Consistency and continuity, and you know, if that's the action that it's going to take to get you to where you want to go, then repeat the action.
Yeah.
And if you have a bad day, you have a bad day, but then your thoughts creates your reality. And it's, you can either go down the negative thought that says, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that. Or you can say, well, yes, of course I can, because I did it before. So I'll do it again, and I'll do it again. Yeah. And
that's it. Small, simple steps on a regular daily basis.
And you can change your whole life.
And you can transform your entire life. Yeah.
And you did.
Yeah.
And you did.
I'm really happy. Like, genuinely, every single day, I'm happy, and I live a lovely, happy life.
That's fantastic. It's been absolutely wonderful talking to you, Eve.
And you too, Heidi, always.
Thank you.